All right, everyone, we are back with another off-season war. Today I will be bringing in Storm Pyramid X, Shang-Chi, and Mr. Negative. I will be taking Path 3 in Section 1 and Path 5 in Section 2. Nothing really testing or being tested here. Just kind of shaking off some cobwebs before the season starts, since this is the second to last off-season war. This first node here against Moleman, we're going to start in Lightning Tempest by placing that pre-fight. And the reason for that is he has the node ability where for every armor up, or when you build up an armor up static defense. So you get electrocuted as long as he has an armor up. So Lightning Tempest is going to prevent us from taking damage from that. And Storm X is going to prevent us from worrying about the parry stun being shrugged, because if it does, we will place a passive instead. So kind of a double whammy here on like completely immune / ignoring the node. The only downside here is that Moleman is shock immune, so we're not going to place any shock debuffs with our SP2, but her SP2 hits hard enough, and you'll see here, for that to not be an issue. So we got him down to 4%. That combo didn't finish him, unfortunately, and then the next hit does. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy fight. The next fight is Gladiator Hulk on Hurt Locker. Here we're going to use Shang-Chi, and we're going to keep the slow Wushu up, use the stun Wushu, and then heavy reset until we get to SB2. Was a little curious if we would finish this fight in one SB2, and since he is being placed with recoil and suicides, it is going to work out that way. So we don't have to worry about smash and unstoppable with Golk here, because we have that slow debuff up constantly. So yeah, this is again a pretty hard counter, trying to bait out this SB2. Luckily, it does have Power Focus 2 as well, so if we wanted to, we could build more Wushu by emptying out each one of them, or build more Chi by emptying out each Wushu before we drop the heavy to reset, but as you can see, not really that big of a deal at all. And then I guess if I were to say I was practicing anything, it was Mr. Negative here on Path 5. Obviously, the first node's not an issue. There's not Mighty Charge. So here it's just parry heavy, evade counter, convert, then go back to it. And then when we get to SB2, have all our dark energy ready to go and drop the big SB2. Since it does have ebb and flow intercept, we are going to want to make sure that our last evade counter is while Tigra is dashing in and not a block into evade counter. If we do that, as you can see there, it will not remove the ebb and flow intercept. It does not count it. So there I got it before dropping this SB2 against the wall. And now I can just parry heavy and let her melt down. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy fight. The next one was the one I was more so curious about with Mr. Negative and wanted to practice. I've seen it done before here, where I usually suggest an SP3 with enough dark energy, and then evade counter into the SP3 instead of using the SP2 because of Mighty Charge. So that was my focus here. My focus was to build light energy, evade counter once, and then build some more light energy, and then evade counter right before we decide to drop SP3. So there's the first one. I'm probably going to do it a couple more times, actually. Yeah. And it's mostly because she's gaining so many powers from having her dimensions up. So she's constantly firing SP1 here. But luckily we slowed it down there. So now we're going to evade counter after she gets this SP1 out. And I really just wanted to see the damage increase here with the Fury node. So now we're going to evade counter and SP3 immediately. If you don't know Mr. Negative, his SP3, he does direct dark damage for every dark energy he has, and then heals for every light energy he has. We didn't have any light energy, but you can see the big ticking numbers there from the dark energy, and down she went. So definitely, you know, an interesting note for him. I would probably stick to just the 2 max evade counters for that node. And then Green Goblin here, since he was open, decided to take him with Mr. Negative as well, since the node is Safeguard and increased healing. Just wanted to go ahead and knock him out with the degen damage and prevent him from healing as soon as we got to SB2. So here we're going to do it without a PS1. So I'm going to aggressively build to 9 light energy, evade counter, keeping him from throwing this SB1 by blocking and evade countering the second hit, which happens to be a heavy. And then here I'm going to aggressively hit into him and build some light energy, not overdoing it. I don't want to get to 10 as we build to SB2. And then as we get to SB2, we're going to bait out whatever special attack he has. And I believe here we're going to evade counter before we get him. Nope. Okay. So now we're going to evade counter into SB2. We have 20 dark. We're going to get some bonus degen due to this Shang-Chi synergy, and down he went. So he had suicide, so obviously that helped a lot, but 24 degen, without that help, he's going to most likely melt. And then this Iceman. Now, Storm doesn't gain any power here, and I figured let me just go ahead and smack Iceman down and take the kill, since he's most likely running suicides. So let's go ahead. She's Cold Snap immune, but she's Cold Snap immune when she's in Ice Tempest. And what I learned this war is, if you swap the pre-fight once, that's the new default. I thought it reverted back to Ice, and I would have to place the pre-fight for Lightning. And if you're watching this, you might be like, if you don't know her abilities, you might be like, oh, well, this is fine. Just let the Cold Snap end and don't take any hits. Sure. But what you probably don't know about her abilities is that for every prowess she has a chance to stun on her basic attacks, which is a problem for this node because it is stun reflect. So because of my own fault of not knowing her abilities well enough in a quest, I'm going to end up stunning myself eventually in this fight. And I figured, heck, just go ahead and full combo him, bait out SB1s, dodge special attacks, and if you get stunned, you get stunned. And hopefully we can knock him out, or he can knock himself out before I get knocked out. So, off-season war, learned something even though I didn't think I was going to. But at least now we know in the future if we do place, there's the first stun. If we do place, and of course, now I'm not frostbite immune either. Obviously that'll change when I get in the 30% range, probably even lower, because I believe that's dependent on SIG level. But eventually when she gets close to dying, we get both Tempests up, which doesn't matter still, because we need that lightning one gone in order for us not to stun with basic attacks. So, but yeah, if you change the Lightning Tempest early in the quest, or early in the war, or early in the AQ, you're going to have to place the Ice Tempest pre-fight for whatever fight you have next if you want the Ice one. If you want to keep the Lightning one, don't have to place it. But if you want to start in Ice, you have to place it. And I mean, doing this fight in Ice would have just made this a brawl. And there's the third stun, and down we go. So, second to last war of the off season. Learned something. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit subscribe, like, follow, and share. And I will catch you guys at the last off season war.